Hi, welcome. I'm Jessie Walters from Charles Rutenberg. I'm here today with Freddie Rappina from Opta Financial. He's one of my sponsors for the podcast. I appreciate you sponsoring and actually coming in and telling us about financial planning and all the different questions that we have or that people have wrote in and asked about. So the first thing I want to ask you was your projection for 2023.
Oh, going
right to it. Right into it. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's hard to predict the market in general. It's hard to predict anything, right? Real estate market, financial markets, the markets, right?
Yeah.
But Q1 could look a little bumpy.
Yeah.
And, especially the end of Q1. But hey, it's where we talk about the market all the time, right? We talk about it's going to go up, it's going to go down over time, but ultimately it's just leverage for loans, right? Where we're just going to be able to use the money that we have, be able to take out small loans from lenders, and be able to buy cash flowing assets such as real estate and businesses. The market's going to continue to go.
A little bit
up and down.
Yeah, and they say, they always say buy low, sell high, and I think we're at the perfect for at least stocks. You know what I mean? They're low.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good,
Yeah, continue to buy. But I know what I like. I like buy low and sell never.
Sell never. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah.
I have some Apple. I've got some. Oh my gosh, I jumped on the Bitcoin. I have Dogecoin. I have, just in case Elon Musk said, okay, we'll make you guys all billionaires. I have some of that too. Just by a little bit, just enough so I could get possibly score, just on my dream, like hitting the lottery,
Well, that is okay, at least you said it, not me. It's
the odds are for the lottery most likely. So a lot of financial advisors are, you give them the money, they take the money, they put the money into different things as far as we were talking about investments, IRAs, 401ks, mutual funds, stock market, but you have a different twist on the actual, you like to leverage, explain the difference because I feel like everybody just is like, oh, okay, a financial advisor, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so tell the difference of what you actually,
So we don't say that you give us all your money and we're gonna spin all the straw into gold and make you multi-millionaire off of a couple $1,000. No, that's
it's a dream.
Yeah, think about it. If I could do that, I would just do that for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
All day long.
Yeah, true.
I would not have a business.
Yeah.
But no, it's really about how do you build wealth, and it's different for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about people who want to be checkers players. Yeah, they're going to be checkers players, right? They're going to live debt free. They're going to save a lot of money into retirement accounts. They're going to want the compound interest over a long period of time.
Right.
And you can have a real good life doing that.
Right.
But if you want to become wealthy, sooner or later we have to talk about the leverage.
The safe plan, I think, is what, you know what I mean? If you're, like you're saying, playing checkers, it's a safe, no risk plan, but then they say no risk, no reward, and there's a reason for that, right?
Well, there's certainly less risk. Right? It's less risk, not no risk, but it's definitely less risk.
Yeah.
Because, hey, it's all about what people want, right? But if people want to become wealthy, they want to become, to achieve financial independence, being able to retire, being able to live the lifestyle that they want. Sooner or later, the talk of leverage and debt has got to come in there, and be able to take those assets that you have, not sell them.
Right.
Keep the assets.
Keep the asset. I like to keep the assets.
Keep the assets that are going to appreciate over time, and then taking out small loans to buy cash flowing assets.
That's all I like to tell people, because even if they're going to sell it secondary property, I'll say, or they'll say, this property is too small for me. I'm going to move to a bigger property. I'll say, why don't you keep it? Why don't you rent it out? Especially if they've paid down a lot on their mortgages. In the last 6 months, the market was so good. It was kind of like, my normal advice would be keep it. But then I was kind of like, well, you live there 2 years, no capital gains, maybe sell it, maybe take the money, maybe reinvest it, So I'm familiar with kind of advising people in that way, but I'm not a financial advisor, obviously,
Well, there's a lot of things you can do there, right? You can maybe cash out, refinance the house,
right?
Purchase another one. You can 1031 exchange,
right?
That home for another home,
right?
And that will defer the taxes.
Yeah. So the 1031 exchanges, because some people might not know what they are. So you're selling a property and you have to buy a like property. So if it's a rental property and you're going to sell it, then you don't get to touch your money. It's held in escrow, and then they take your money. You purchase this new property. You have so many days to purchase and identify. 45. Okay, I was going to say they changed it because I think it used to be 30, right? And then they've changed it to 45. I don't know. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I've never done one, but I've had a lot of my buyers do that. Actually, a lot of my buyers who are, I would say, the ones that are the most wealthy, utilize that the most.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're doing there, right? So you're deferring the taxes the capital gains taxes that you owe on the property, right? And the government's basically saying, okay, I'll let you defer those taxes into this next property, right? And that property will appreciate over time, hopefully. All right, and then you get to take the depreciation on the property, and eventually you can swap that property for another property.
Right.
So you just keep deferring the taxes.
Right.
Okay. You still owe them.
Yeah.
Right. But as long as you're 1031 exchanging the property for another property, you get to defer them.
Right.
Until when? Until you die.
Yeah, really. Until you die with all your things, all your assets.
And when you die, the government basically forgives all the taxes.
Yeah,
right.
True.
So you never pay taxes on all that.
True.
Swap until you drop is the
swap until you drop. That's awesome.
Is the colloquial phrase.
Yeah. So if you had you could even do that. Like, say you had a rental property here, and you're in Florida, and you're like, well, I keep getting bad tenants, but I really want a property, maybe a secondary property in like North Carolina. You could still 1031. You could sell that asset and then defer. And then if you ever did, instead of dying, you're more positive. Say you were like, I'm just going to liquidate this. When you're older, your income's down. You're not making as much money, and your tax rate's different. So when you sell, I mean, that's how I always look at it. Well, tax rate's lower, so you're selling lower.
If you're doing it right, your tax rate shouldn't be lower. It should be
right. True. I'm just thinking you think of retirement income, and then you think of Social Security, and then you think like if you're just you just gave it up, you're like, I'm never going to work.
Well, it depends on how much you're making, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But if you're making a considerable income,
true.
That your taxes may not go down; they might go up in retirement.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right. Reason is like you may not have the deduction on your primary residence mortgage. Your kids are grown and gone.
Yeah, no tax deduction.
They live in the basement. They're not tax deductions anymore.
Yeah, true.
All right. So you have all these things that you may have had as deductions while you were in your working years. Now you don't have. So that could actually keep your taxes the same, or even have it go higher.
Oh,
You're
right,
taking distributions from your retirement accounts, like your 401ks.
Yeah.
So it just completely depends. But the 1031 exchange is great. I mean, the government's allowing you basically to trade your 3 greenhouses for your 1 red hotel.
Yeah.
But there's a process. Like the 45 days. That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you have to do.
I don't know if
you want to work with somebody that knows what they're doing.
I was going to say, I don't know if you do them. Do you do them for people personally or no?
No. We would network with somebody that can really go through that process.
Because there's some companies that do that. Obviously, it's not free, but it's saving you thousands. So it's worth it. Actually worth it.
Completely worth it.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
You do it right.
I know. I had a call in from one of my big investors and he's like, I got this 1031. I only got this much time, and then he, is freaking out and stuff like that. But I'm only licensed in Florida. I can refer to other states and stuff. But he kept going other states, and he's like, "You want to take a drive to Georgia?" And I'm like, "I do want to take a drive to Georgia, but I can't sell you anything when I get there. We could do a mini vacation, but
Yeah, the 45 days, so you have to have the property identified.
Yeah.
45 days.
Yeah, and then you can close after the 45, right?
Yeah.
As long as you identify the like property. Mm-hmm. So if it's a rental property or a like you said, multi-units, it just has to be rental to rental.
Well, it can be but you can go up.
Okay.
You can.
And then what is there something on the going down too? If it's I don't think you can, right? You have to get rid of all the money.
It's supposed to be
lateral
okay. Or up.
Okay. See, learn something new every. Yeah, and like I said, I've never had to do anything like that, but my customers have, and they have professionals that do it.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why we have a team, right? It's not just
Yeah, trying to do everything. Yeah.
Trying to do everything.
Yeah, have the best of everybody doing the everything. Well, yeah. So when they're doing that too, a lot of times when you're selling, you're thinking I'm going to get that money and then I'll have that property where you don't even touch that money. That money's held in an escrow account after you sell it. You know.
It's a process.
It's
like you got to go through the process, and you need to work with somebody who knows what they're doing there.
You want to make sure it's a good person.
A lot of box checks. And,
Make sure they're 5-star. Here's $250,000. You know what I mean? Like I trust you. Here's my money, but it's more like it's held in escrow. It's usually a couple attorneys I know do it. And have people that actually have the actual companies that do it too. You know what I mean? That's 100% of what they do is the 1031 exchanges.
Yeah, you don't want to mess it up because then you owe the taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a costly mistake. So as far as we were talking about when I go to Publix, I don't know about you. If you wear your name badge, they probably say, "Hey," but when I go into Publix or any store, they go, "Are you a realtor?" If I have my realtor stuff on, and I go, "Yeah," and they go, "What do you think?" And that's why I was asking you, like right off the rip. 2023, what do you expect? And right now, so we were slow. It was funny because January till July, we couldn't get enough properties. And then July to November, it got real slow because the interest rates went up. And of course, everything, like we were saying, like the inflation, everything has gone up. So then they dipped a little teeny bit. Phones ringing off the hook again. People have learned all of a sudden. People that have never bought homes have learned about buying down interest rates. Have learned. You know what I mean? They're tax professionals. Everybody knows everything now. So I'm like, okay, it's back on. So with that being said, the houses I've got some listed and stuff, and I've got most of them under contract because of that, which is good, thank God. But it was funny because people, like I said, they stop me and they'll go, "What do you project?" And now I was projecting just like it to steady out like the market, but it's funny, but we still have a lack of supply in Florida because I think the nationwide news people say, "Oh well, this is what's trending," but Florida has its own beat, has its own, you know what I mean? Yeah, so Florida, we're still short on inventory, which is keeping the houses, they dropped I would say about 10%. So if you were getting 400, you're down to like 360, somewhere in there, just like a 10% off, is what happened. And it seems like they've stopped. Like I think the sellers were like, nope, we did the 10% and that's it. So we're just going to hold out. It seems like the whole, and it's not like all the sellers got on the phone in Pasco and Pinellas and Hillsborough and Hernando and said, but it just does seem to be trending that way.
Yeah, the markets are always going to be the markets, right? Whether it's the real estate market, whether it's the financial markets, it's a function of what are you doing to make your situation better, right?
Right.
What plans do you have in place? What is your plan in general, right?
Right, exactly.
But real estate investors, like, we typically just keep on buying almost no matter what the market is, as long as you can find a deal, right? As long as the deal makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be times when the market is crazy like it was last summer or 2 summers ago, whenever that was. And there's going to be times when it's, really down. So just...
Yeah, you would think, I don't know about you, but you would think that it'd be slower because of the holidays right now. But people are planning for January, which is, people are setting up, like we were talking about, 401ks. They're setting up financial plans for next year, So what, if you're a person starting to plan, like what, is there a year, like you think, oh, you're this age, you should start planning, or is just any age, or you're too old, or you're too young, or
no too young, no too old.
You don't have enough money, or...
Well, I think that's the big kicker, right? Like you gotta start, right?
Yeah.
And there's no good time, best time to start.
Right.
You just got to start.
Right.
And see how it goes. Right.
Right.
And we recommend hiring professionals like us who are going to be able to kind of guide you along the way.
Yeah.
But it depends what your goals are. What are your goals? What's your risk tolerance? What's your time horizon? What can you actually achieve in this amount of time too? Don't make your goal so lofty that you're like, no, I can't reach that. Maybe your goal for 2023 could be, I want to have one property.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
one that's going to cash flow. It's going to earn a little income. Maybe it's save more in your retirement accounts. If like I said, if you're going to play with a checkers game, you want to play it well.
Right.
So it's really just about what people want.
So what's your perfect when say an investor comes in? What's your perfect scenario as far as? I mean, what do you like helping with the best? Is it just someone has a single family residence, they got 4 kids, and you're like, okay, I'm going to tell you how to turn this into this little empire, or are you like?
we do enjoy that. We enjoy the people that they feel like they're perhaps like, I don't know, maybe around my age, maybe they're in their 40s, and they feel like they've worked really hard for 20 years and saved all this money, and they just don't have the lifestyle that they want.
Right.
How do I improve the lifestyle?
Right.
We do enjoy working with those clients, and we also enjoy working with real estate investors who we don't have to convert them to the chess.
They're already,
they're already there, right? So it's more about managing their assets, making them look really good to lenders, having them taken, helping them,
diversify their
take out those
income,
loans and buying those properties.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on what the person wants.
And I'm always like, you call it chess, I always call it Monopoly. I'm like, go to the neighbor's house, and then the neighbor comes over and says, well, I'd sell the house, and to the investor, and then it turns into like the little Monopoly trying to get the whole Vermont lane, going instead of just, a boardwalk at Park Place would be better, but we'll take, Baltic Avenue if we have
exactly.
to.
Well, maybe not Baltic and Mediterranean, but maybe what is that, Oriental?
The Blues, I think,
Right? Let's, we can maybe start there, right? Because they're going to be a little bit more affordable, and you can make a mistake there, and it's not going to just wipe out.
Yeah, exactly.
All your money in the bank.
Yeah, true.
The important thing is to educate yourself, hire a guide, and start.
Right.
Like figure out how can I do this, and if it's not now, perhaps it's in 6 months.
Right. Yeah, like a goal. Well, I feel like if someone takes the time to sit down with you and actually says, okay, this is what I have. What can you do for me? And I think that's where you come in and say, okay, we could do this and this. And there's a whole bunch of things that people are not going to think of themselves, because I think people just get like, you go to work, you come home, you know what I mean? You get in that rhythm, and you're just like, no, I use this to pay this.
I want people to think about how much income they're making for other people when they make that decision.
Right. Exactly.
That's, and try to make it for yourself.
Exactly. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. I'm Jessie Walters, and I'm here with Freddie Rappina from Opta Financial. As you can see, we have all the information in the back. You can go on there and get directly in touch with them in regards to financial advising and setting things up for you. So we were talking, and you do a lot of leveraging when we're talking about, so you own this house and you are taking money out of this house, and how am I doing that? Like explain
the equity in the home question.
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of equity in my home right now. What should I do? Well, of course, the first answer is going to be different for everybody. It depends on everybody's situation.
Right.
So this is not just a blanket recommendation for everybody. But, if it's possible to start using the equity that you have in your home to help you build wealth, for a lot of people, it could be a good thing. Like how you use it, well, that, of course, again, that will depend. But everybody wants to talk about home equity lines of credit right now. That's like I'm getting a lot of questions on that.
When I'm doing I'm actually doing one, I'm listing it. Do you have a mortgage? Yeah. Oh, and then forgot about my credit line, my HELOC, the HELOC.
The HELOC.
So, yeah. And so she had that for, she elderly, was doing repairs, stuff like that around the house, but there's other ways to use that. What you're saying.
Yeah. So when it comes to the home equity line of credit, I kind of break it. There's plenty of things you can do, right? But I like to just give two things as an example.
Okay.
So let's say you lived in this area that's now booming, right? Like a lot of places around here have boomed in the past, and here in Florida have boomed in the past couple of years, right?
Right.
And you have all this equity in the home, and you have this mortgage, right? Now, can you take the home equity line of credit out and pay down or pay off that original mortgage? Okay. So with the home equity line of credit, it can be a simple interest.
Interest only?
No, simple interest.
Okay.
So
because SunTrust has interest only.
Yeah, well.
That's a nightmare. So I was like, what are you advising?
It's just a conversation for another day. So a simple.
You got 2 hours? We got to go.
So we have a simple interest loan, which is like a credit card, right?
Right.
So you can take that home equity line of credit and pay off the first.
But they revolve higher. Credit.
Well, the interest rates are higher,
right? Okay.
But if your original mortgage has an amortized loan over 30 years, you're paying more interest up front than you are in the back, right? So, and most mortgages don't last 30 years, right?
Right.
So what you're doing is now you're kind of switching the debt instrument, right? You're making it now a home equity line of credit instead of a mortgage, which you're paying down simple interest. So if you do it correctly, you can pay a lot less interest over what you would be paying on the first trust, right?
Okay.
So that's one thing you can do. Okay. So you're going to pay off. That's a good checkers move.
Right.
It's a very good checkers move. You're going to pay your house off probably a lot faster and pay a lot less interest to a bank.
What about those people who are like, well, I think I'll take, this always irks me with the car loans. Okay, so car loans usually between 4 and sometimes stretch out 6 years or whatever now. And they'll say, I'm going to throw that in my loan and, I'm going to refinance, I'm going to pay off that car loan, I'm going to make it all one payment. I always feel like the car loans are only, like I said, 4 years. So I always advise people maybe pay double payments, pay it off in 2 years. It's not a 30-year mortgage, but if you put it into, not a HELOC, but an actual mortgage, if you put it into your mortgage, now you're paying, like you said, interest over 30 years on the, your car, then your $50,000 car is now $150,000, and by the time 30 years comes up,
Yeah, so we have that route, right? That's like what I call a good checkers move.
Right.
Using the HELOC to pay off the mortgage.
Right.
All right.
Not the car loan, just the mortgage.
Or you can take that home equity line of credit out and buy a cash flowing asset such as a piece of real estate that's going to get some cash flow, that's going to earn cash flow, and that's going to help you make the payment on the first trust. Right. So you still have that first trust, but it doesn't feel like you're paying it all because you have income coming in from the cash flowing asset. But you do now have 2 loans, right?
Yeah.
You have.
So how tight would you advise someone? So okay, so you bought this, you took the money, you got the HELOC. Now I'm a cash buyer. I got this good deal on this rental property because I used it just like cash because the HELOCs are identified as a cash loan. So I go and I got cash. I can close that in 2 weeks. They go, okay, no problem. Here's your rental property. It's $150,000. Now I've got this debt here that I'm paying, and I've got this rental. What do those numbers look like to you? Like, what do you advise?
It really depends on the risk tolerance of the person, right?
Right.
But in your example, let's say you have the $150,000 property, it's getting $1,500 a month in rent, right? So what is the payment on the HELOC going to be? What's the payment on the mortgage going to be? Is it going to help?
Right. So what if it's a draw? So, okay, my HELOC's $1,000, this one's $1,500. I know I got insurance and taxes that are not going to be in a typical mortgage situation. I'm not going to have property taxes and insurance included in this HELOC. I'm going to have to pay that separate. So it's $1,500. It's a wash. It's just paying this asset. But I have an asset though.
You have an asset.
Yeah.
I would like the asset to cash flow.
Yeah. Okay. So more.
Okay. Yes. It's tough to buy an asset that doesn't cash flow. That doesn't make a whole lot of
right. Just even
sense.
Steven. Well, because a lot of clients I have will say, well, I'm just making the payments on this, but when I retire, it should be paid off, and I'll have all that income coming in.
Yeah, I would like to see the increase in income now. Not wait until retirement to now have more income. But again, everybody's got different goals in mind. But if you're going just straight from a cash flow play like that, if you're using the money to purchase the property, I wouldn't like it to be even Steven. I'd like it to be
more of an up. We're up, yeah. Mm-hmm. So if this was $1,800 and then we're making $300 a month and $300, that's $3,600 extra a year. You've increased, right?
Well, yeah. If you're able, you need to be able to make 2 loan payments now because you do have to pay the HELOC. But you're your income now is the extra income is now helping pay down the HELOC, right? And you still have your mortgage. So you have 2 loans now. You have to be able to cover both loans. You shouldn't do this if you're not able to.
Yeah, because you have your job that you're already paying that one mortgage. You're already used to paying that mortgage. So,
but you're going to pay down the HELOC probably a lot faster. And now you have that line of credit open again. And now you can purchase another property with it.
Right. Okay, gotcha. And then it dominoes from there.
Yes.
And you got this, and you got.
Or you can cash out, refinance that other property. Either way.
Yeah. So on the HELOC, do they only do those on if it's your primary residence?
Yeah.
Right?
Typically, it has to be your primary residence.
Okay. And then but you can do a conventional mortgage against the other property if you bought it cash. If you want to pull the equity out of that.
Yeah, you're doing a cash out refinance.
Right. Okay. So I got this one, and I've got my primary residence, did the HELOC, took the cash, bought this secondary property. This one's paying the HELOC, and then I go and I refinance this one, and I buy another one.
You can. Your leverage is now going up, right? Because now you have 3 loans. You have the primary residence. You have the HELOC, and now you cash that, refinance that property.
Right.
But yes, you can do that.
Okay.
So it just depends on how much leverage you really want. What are you comfortable with?
Right, and it also probably depends on what my credit's like, and because now I've got another risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it boils down to cash flow, right? So are these properties cash flowing? It doesn't make sense. Is it increasing your lifestyle, right? I'm big on the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to, a lot of our clients don't want to wait 30 years
to get
to start living the life
fruits
that
of
they
the
want.
labor. Yeah, exactly.
You want to be able to have the good lifestyle now.
Yeah, true.
It may not be the complete baller lifestyle, but at least it's improving every single year.
Yeah, with that being said, I'm always like, okay, so this, because you'll look at someone and you'll go, wow, they're really wealthy. But if you pick them up and say they're in Starkey Ranch, wow, maybe they look really wealthy, maybe they're not. And you put them in Tampa, then they're just making it, you know what I mean? And you take them from Tampa and maybe put them into, you know what I mean? It's
I guess it's always relative.
Yeah,
right?
It depends on how what your idea of, of financial success is too.
That's right, but it's about improving your lifestyle every year, right? Could you do things in 2023 that you couldn't do in 2022? Right. Could you take more vacations? Could you,
true.
Spend more money on your kids and your kids' activities, or whatever you want to do to enjoy your lifestyle? That's what we like helping people with.
True. And so we're about to, speaking of the end of 2022, going to 2023, on those tax returns, is there any advice that you give to people on starting so say Mr. or Mrs. Jones are going to get about $7,000 and they're talking about investing in something? What would you, again, you got to see the whole portfolio.
You got to see the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But I really like to see people do good tax planning, all right? Not just doing taxes. Doing taxes is an activity to find out how much you owe the government. Tax planning is doing a lot of things so that number is a lot lower over the course of the year.
Right.
So doing tax planning is very, very important. And, the government, we got all these great great tax laws. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
You just have to do.
Yeah,
You just have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
You don't have to cheat. You don't have to cheat. Just follow the rules.
Yeah, true.
Do the things that the government wants you to do with the money, and you'll likely pay a lot less in taxes.
Right. So that's another good thing that you guys obviously do is you're going to show some, people that are making really good money and going to pay a lot of taxes out on what to put that money into, whether it's SEP or whether IRAs or whatever, right?
It's going to be different, but we want to. Taxes are a huge expense, and we want to get that down as much as possible. And the government has the incentives for us to do it.
Right.
I mean, do you ever stop and think about that? Like, why does the government give you tax breaks on this but not that?
Right.
It's because they want you to do that.
Right.
Whatever that is. They give tax breaks on business owners. Right. We get a lot of tax breaks.
Yeah.
Why? Because we can create jobs.
Yeah,
we can create a lot of W-2 income jobs, and they'll tax those people,
employees,
their employees pretty hard, right?
Yeah, true.
You get a tax break for having kids.
Yeah.
Why does the government want you to have kids? You create more tax
true.
payers eventually.
Yeah.
Right? They give us tax breaks on purchasing real estate because they want us to buy houses and create natural rent control.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and the more, I know it's not, because a lot of people get upset about investors buying the rental properties and boosting the rents up, but then it works both ways. The taxes, if you don't have, for investors, they don't have the homestead exemptions on the homes. Mm-hmm. The taxes don't have a cap for for their actual property taxes. There's no cap on them if you don't have a homestead exemption. Mm-hmm. So they would say, if you have the homestead cap, it's 3% a year. If you don't have the homestead cap, they just adjust it to the market value. And with that being said, I think that's where the confusion is with a lot of actual homeowners who will say, well, how come this rent is so high? Well, because they're paying like 3-4 times as much in taxes than you are. So they've got to pay that too.
The rent's always going to be supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a good point. But what the real estate investor is going to get is the depreciation. That's the big tax incentive.
Yeah.
And depreciation on your car sucks. Depreciation on real estate is awesome.
Yeah, true.
So you guys understand.
You're going to appreciate appreciation of depreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So depreciation. So they'll give you like an amount on your, I guess to break it down in layman's terms. So you have this rental, and you're going to pay this much on all your rental income. You took out all your expenses, you took out your taxes, you took out your homeowners, and then you have this amount, and then the government gives you this little bit more, and they show how you're devaluing your real estate.
There's a passive loss with real estate, right? Because it's depreciating. The wood is depreciating.
Right. It's getting older.
It's getting older, right? And the government wants you to invest in it, right? So they're going to give you depreciation. It's like they're giving you your capital back, which because you put up some risk, the government's giving you this depreciation, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have a passive income from the rent. Now, when that passive loss is going to offset some of the passive income, right? So it's not tax free, but it offsets. So it feels that way.
The only thing is, but you said never sell it, but if you sell it, the government's like, hey, that depreciation we gave you, come here, bring it back. Yeah.
Bring it back. That's why we talk about the 1030 exchange.
Don't ever sell that property.
Yes, and you pass away eventually, and your heirs get what's called a step up in basis, meaning that all the taxes that you owe the government, mm-hmm. like it's now based on the fair market value of the day of your death. I mean, so if they sold it the next day,
they're good.
Wouldn't be. If the house appreciated $1, they owe taxes on $1.
Oh wow, that's good to know.
Yeah, that's it's step.
I hate at the end of this, everybody has to die, but it gets its life, right?
Right, but it's how do you create wealth, not just for you, but for
your family,
for generations, right?
True.
So and that's important to some people, and some people it's not.
Yeah.
And if it's not important to you, okay, well we have got to think about other things, right?
Right. Yeah, I think when they're younger, you're like, I'm going to make sure my kids are taken care of. When they get to be teenagers, and you're kind of like, I'm going to spend every dime. I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini as soon as I'm going to drive it. Make sure I'm going to make sure there's nothing left. So you guys have to work. No, but that's like the difference between toddlers and 8-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 16-year-olds. It would drive you crazy.
As long as you understand, if you're going to do that the chess players are probably not thinking in those terms.
Yeah, I know.
And,
yeah, true.
So just don't go screaming at the moon, why does the rich keep getting richer?
Yeah.
Well, they're playing a totally different game than you are.
Yeah,
and doing
true.
totally different strategies.
True. Yeah, because there's always, I know during, there was some storms years ago, and a lot of the people got checks. They got big checks from like FEMA and stuff like that. So they got checks, and all of a sudden you would see, and then it's all mindset, instead of going and buying, like, say, another property, they were driving these beautiful cars. They would, like, this one guy, I don't know if you remember what Viper, do you remember Vipers
Dodge
were?
Viper, yeah.
Yeah. So this guy had a Viper, and he had his house was just, he didn't take any of the FEMA money, and I'm sure they regulate this different now, but I remember being young, like a kid, and going wow, that guy's got the nicest car. The house was just wrecked, but it's all in how you think of it, because some people want the look, and they don't really care about what's in their bank account if they're retired, if life's easier for them. They just want the look,
Right. Well, me, I would take the money, purchase the cash flowing asset, then take out a loan for the Viper.
Then get the Viper, yeah.
And then
that would make more sense.
Yeah, then have the cash flowing asset pay for that.
Yeah,
Pay
exactly.
the Viper down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I guess it's how you wrap your head around.
And kids, you can Google the car. It's actually
it was a nice car.
Back in the 90s.
I was like, yeah. I'm always like, I love old cars, and I'm like a car person. So I'm always, my kids are like, I feel like cause I have 2 girls, and I feel like they know cars because of me, because I'll be like, I think that's a Chevy, whatever it is. Like my dad brought me a
12-year-old son is all about cars.
Yeah,
so he knows more than I do.
But you just have to be careful, I think, when you're the car person, if you're not like Jay Leno or something like that you have the assets to back up the cars, not the cars to back up the assets.
Exactly, right? So if you achieve that kind of wealth, and you want to buy those toys, go ahead.
Yeah.
People want to buy boats. I'm okay with it as long as you have
something to back
you
it
have
up.
all these assets, and you want to purchase a liability that's going to be a lot of fun. Sure, go ahead. Just don't
liability.
think that's going to. Just don't think that the boat is going to be an asset, right?
Right. Yeah, it's going down the moment. It's just like a car the moment you take it off the lot. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a second. Everybody sit tight, and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. I'm Jessie Walters with Freddie Rappina. We're here today. We're talking about Opta Financial and just basically different types of ways to invest money to help your I guess your assets grow, your portfolio grow, just different things like that. And so we were just talking about how things are coming in 2023, and we were talking and wanted to go into like the inflation side of it. Like, what are you seeing, or what are you projecting, or what do how do you think it's going to go?
Well, inflation is like that invisible tax, right? So
True.
And of course, I work in finance. Do this every day, right?
Right.
And everybody wants to talk about gas prices.
Yeah.
Right. And like you see gas goes up or down or whatever. But you know where I really felt inflation?
Where?
Taco Bell.
Okay.
I took my son and a couple of his friends to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And it was like $26
Yeah, you sound like
for Taco Bell, and just like regular tacos for myself and the
it's crazy. Yeah.
I used to go to Taco Bell with like just a few dollars.
Yeah.
And be able to get it done.
2:00 in the morning, but yeah.
I mean, inflation's always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And the Feds.
I mean,
that's their primary weapon is that the federal funds rate, being able to.
It's so funny to me how, the interest rates went up and everybody just screeched their brakes on. And it has a lot to do with the news too. I think the news, we don't want to say it controls us, but it kind of, they're telling us the fortune of what they think is going to happen. So as soon as American, the public, we just sit there and watch it, take it all in and go, oh, well, the news said this, so I can't do whatever it is. I can't invest. I can't purchase that property. Inflation is just going to keep going up. But as soon as there's a little dip, everybody, like I said, the interest rates went down. And again, I hate to say control, but as soon as it went down, and like I was saying, people buying down rates and stuff like that, everybody's calling again, listing and moving, and so it's good for me but that's the only thing as far as positive. It's like one of those things, like if I raise the gas prices to $5 and then I take them down to $3, you're like, wow, that's so awesome. But we're at $3, you know what I mean? But if we say, oh, they're $5 in the winter, and then they control us and go, oh, we're down to $3, then I'm all happy about the $3. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I have right now with my take on it. But I could be totally off.
The interest rates, they're going to go up, they're going to go down.
Right.
And it's since basically, 9/11, like anytime there's 2008, anytime there's been like a crisis, the response has been to lower the rate, right? Put more money back into the economy,
right? And
it's kind of like brakes on a car, right? So if you want to go faster, you're going to lower the rate, you're going to step on the gas, and the economy's going to go faster, right?
Yeah.
But we can agree that there's too fast in a car, right?
Right.
If you're doing 110 miles an hour, that's probably too fast. So you want to maybe hit the brake, and raise the rate,
right,
and slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
The problem right now, in my opinion, has been the amounts, the swings. Right. It's usually so steady that people don't even realize it's there.
Yeah.
Right. But over the past few years, people have noticed because the swings have been so great.
Right.
And, I think we had a conversation about that where it's like, the equivalent of either doing like having a cup of coffee in the morning but now it's like, now you're taking like hardcore drugs to get yourself up, right? To get yourself energized instead of just having a cup of coffee, and instead of just maybe having a glass of wine at night to calm yourself down, now you're taking sleeping pills, right? So that's not
extreme,
so that's it's not going to be good for your body, just like it's not typically good for an economy when you have these big swings in the interest rates.
Yeah, and it scares people, I think, too, because I think they get, especially the older people that I deal with, they're like, we don't know what's going to happen, so we're not going to do anything. And so I'm like, well, especially when you get to they're seniors and they want to move closer to their families and stuff like that. I'm like, why not just be happy and just keep going with the flow? Pretend like this isn't going on,
Yes, there's a lot of that. I was recently quoted in an AARP article.
Oh, wow.
And, that's obviously towards a certain demographic, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to have them learn how to spend.
I think it starts at like 50 now or 55.
I don't know.
Yeah, because they have like AARP. I forget, there was some comedian talking about it, and he's like, I just turned 50 and I got this in the mail. And
I've been getting them since I'm 20 because me and my dad have similar names.
Oh, same name, right.
So I've been getting them the whole time.
Yeah, you're like, this is what it's going to be like when I'm a senior.
But learning how to spend in retirement, I think, is very important, right?
Yeah.
Learning how to enjoy your life. You go through that save, and you've been in save mode your entire life.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, now it's time to spend, right?
Right.
I would like to see people enjoy their lives the entire time, like, learn how to build income to enjoy your life. But some, like we talked, you can do checkers, play checkers well and save a lot into retirement accounts. But yeah, when you get to that, like, have a reasonable distribution to be able to enjoy your life and spend your time with your kids or your grandkids or whatever you want to do, travel,
tennis or golf or whatever.
It's like you don't get the time back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. And unfortunately, you always hear about people like they saved every penny and then they retired and then they like died like 3 months after they retired. And you're like, what? Their whole life was spent savings and they have this, you know what I mean? And I mean, the family's probably happy because they get all their money. I mean, they're probably sad that they died, but you see people, they work so hard and they have such high stress jobs just trying to make that money, but we're, as in, if you could leverage and have some of it working for you instead of you just working and enjoying it, that would be the key. That would be awesome,
Yeah, I mean, and think about when you're saving what you're doing, right? When you're saving, when you're saving money with our firm, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're creating income for somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay. You're creating income. If we put you into mutual funds, ETFs, whatever.
Right.
That's creating income for somebody else.
Right.
Because those companies are looking to build cash flow now.
Right. Exactly.
They're not looking for cash flow 30 years from now. They're looking for cash flow right now. So you're building income for somebody else.
True.
And including our firm. Yeah. We charge a fee for assets under management too. So what's for you? Right. How are you building income for yourself?
Right.
Is it going to be just your job? Because if it's just your job, it's going to be very difficult to retire in general.
Yeah, true.
In my opinion. But if you're building income from those assets, being able to take out those small loans and buying cash flowing assets.
Yeah. It's like an insurance policy for yourself. Because literally a lot of, I would see people too, I'm about to retire, and then I had to take early retirement. I had to, the promises that this company, they work their whole lives for this one company and don't have any insurance policies for themselves, don't have any I'm going to have this extra rental house or a couple of rental houses or whatever it is, I'm just going to work for this company my whole life, and then 10 years or usually it's 2 years before retirement are the ones I've seen, and they say, we want you to take early retirement, or we want you just to quit, or you know what I mean? They pressure them out of their jobs and stuff.
Well, most companies don't have a defined benefit anymore.
Yeah, true.
No pension, no gold watch anymore. Usually it's just defined contribution, which is basically 401ks and 403b.
Yeah, they'll match it.
Maybe match a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's on your own. You have to develop your own retirement, and your own retirement strategies. And it's difficult to do. I mean, it's difficult with just retirement accounts, in my opinion, to be able to retire.
Yeah, true.
Because, $1 million in a 401k, well, let's just use the rule of thumb, which is 4%. That's $40,000.
Yeah, true.
Where are you retaring on $40,000? And you saved $1 million. That's not a few bucks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's how, our firm is really big on, how are we going to build income?
Right.
And of course, investing money in the market is going to help, because that's going to give you the collateral that you need for those loans.
Right, true. Yeah, I can't see, I have a lot of customers, as soon as they get, it sounds crazy, but as soon as they get $50,000 cash, they're like, do you have any rentals or do you have anything I can buy for $50,000? I'm like, not right now. There's nothing I can buy right now, $50,000. And then they'll say, oh, I got $100,000. Do you have anything? And I'm like, there's some, I feel like mobile homes right now, you can get $50,000, $100,000. And then we get into 150. Oh, a couple years, I got 150,000 now. Okay, let's start to look. Maybe we can throw some offers in at, they're 180, they're 200, let's 150 cash, close in 2 weeks. We'll just keep throwing them. And my most, I would say, one of my wealthiest customers, who's just so set up and everything, has loads of rentals and everything. He just says, just throw mud. That's his advice. Throw mud. And he's like, and what I mean by that is, if you got 150 grand and the house is 200, put it out there. Throw mud. And he said, you'll get one. And so I have a customer, and they threw enough mud that, they got it. But it took a lot for them to they didn't want to get any loan, which is what you're saying, to get a loan for leverage. They did it all cash, which now they don't have a loan, but they could loan that property.
Right. So when you use your own cash, though, you're going to create capital gains. Right?
Okay.
You're going to have to pay taxes on that money.
Right.
When you use a loan, there's no taxable event.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I like that. Everybody's going to be different, right?
Right.
So just me talking, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you have all these assets and you don't use them, they continue to grow, and then you use the loan, but it's not in my opinion, it's not crazy debt when you can pay it off at any time.
Right. True.
So that's really what's called leverage now, right? So if you have $100,000 in cash and you take out a $100,000 loan, well, you're not creating the taxable event on the $100,000. You're using the loan to buy the property.
Yeah.
and getting all the depreciation, and you get to depreciate the bank's money, which is real nice.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's, again, and you create the cash flow.
Right. Yeah, so that's interesting. So so I feel like we learned about 1031 exchanges, how to use those, a lot, and basically how to take your asset and turn it into multiple assets. That's amazing,
all the money you save in all these retirement accounts and all these, all the money that goes in the market, it typically doesn't create income.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless there might be dividends or something like that.
Yeah.
Not usually not a large amount of income.
Right.
But when you can leverage, that's where you can create the income. So it feels like you're getting some revenue out of that savings.
Yeah, like immediate revenue.
Right.
Instead of now I'm retired, I'm going to try to take this. Unless you don't need the money, you just take all that rental money, put it in an account, and then buy another rental property with your.
Yeah, some people try to skip the whole saving part of it, like saving the assets. Like, I'm just going to buy the house cash. I'm not going to have any money invested in the market. And you can do that, right? But now you're just totally illiquid, right? Because now if anything goes wrong, and things do go wrong. It's not like all just sunshines and rainbows all the time.
Yeah.
So you don't have the liquidity to help, do a little triage.
Right. Yeah, so because that's another, I probably could do another show on, so you got this rental property, how's the roof, how's the AC, how's the flooring, and then your tenants, spending extra money on the tenants to make sure that they're good tenants, because the tenant will wreck your house, I had some pictures of a rental property that I just had done, and it was so bad. They got into a fight, and then they busted the windows out and did all sorts of crazy stuff. But usually if you're in more, like, spend a little bit more and get into like a little bit better neighborhoods, the neighbors will call you and say, hey, there's crazy people running around. But it can happen in any neighborhood, Yeah,
that's a common objection, right? When it's like, oh, if something breaks, you got to fix it. I'm like, yeah, that's true, right? But if you have the right property, and there's going to be expenses, right? There's always going to be expenses. But if I said to you, hey, I'm going to give you $12,000. All right, I'm going to give it to you on January 1st. Okay, January 1st. But I'm going to say, hey, don't spend it all, okay? Because I might need $400 back at some point during the year, maybe not. Would you? And you get to keep everything that's left over at the end of the year. Would you let me give you the $12,000 at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, can we use this as a receipt that he's going to give me 12? But it's give me 12 grand. This is the receipt. The show. No.
Right. So you get $1,000 a month, but you might have to spend. You might not be able to get $12,000.
I'll even give you $1,000 back. That's a good deal.
Oh,
See, I'm a negotiator.
But it's about seeing the forest through the trees a little bit with the expenses.
Yeah,
There's going to be some expenses.
Well, because you start and you got first, last, and security. So your $1,500 example, you got your $1,500 that's first, you get $1,500 that's last, and then usually the deposit is $1,500. So now you got $4,500. So if anything goes wrong, if the roof goes wrong, the roof's probably 7, 8. If the air conditioning goes wrong, it's probably about 5, 6. If the flooring, but I've got that $4,500. You're moving in, so I hope nothing's wrong. But I got that $4,500, and if I can control myself, if you're that type of person where you can just put that $4,500, like you said, and you might have to pay something back in, it could be a water heater, could be whatever, and you've got that money as a kind of a cushion in there from that asset that you just got, So usually, because I'm a realtor too, like if I say I went to buy a property, if it was say $100,000, and they're going to give me commission, then I'm like, oh, it's only $96,000. You know what I mean? I justify it. It's $96,000. It's not, But whatever I'm getting back, and I'm like, oh, it's going to rent for $1,300. $1,300, times 3, $3,900. I already got I'm $3,900 up, and I got my $3,000. So I justify things all. But it's part of the
most important thing is make sure that property is going to cash flow.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's going to give you a lot of the wiggle room, but nothing's worse than you're just breaking even on the mortgage, and now all of a sudden something breaks. Now you're really feeling it,
now you're stressed. Yeah, I like to do things non-stressful, but like I said, no risk, no reward. Like, in other words, if you don't ever take just the chance from your one house to the next, then you're always going to stay in that exact same position. And then, like you said, you're going to live. Even if you save $1 million, you're not really growing. You're probably making if you're saving $1 million, you're making what, over 100,000 a year, depending on your age and stuff.
Right.
So you got this $1 million asset, and then when you retire, you're literally, like you said, living on 40 grand a year, and you've worked to get this $1 million literally in the bank.
Well, yeah, the 40 grand a year, that's the they call the safe pull down.
4%. Just based on 4% across it. Yeah.
Right, but that's make sure you don't run the well dry. Right?
Yeah.
If you with the 4%, you can go higher than that, but you're going to risk you take a higher risk of running the well dry.
Right.
You go lower than that. Obviously the water stays in the well a little bit longer.
Right.
But yeah, it's not working as well as I think people hoped it would.
Yeah. Yeah, I see, because I see the shows, they'll say, well, if you start now at 25 years old and it has like the $1 million asset, then it says like, if you start now 30 years old, you miss the mark. It's only like, literally those 5 years, everything, your million's like not even, it's like under 400,000. I'm like, how does that even add up? And I don't know if that's just a hook to.
But you're putting it all in the market.
Yeah.
Right? You're putting all in the market.
That's
so
it, 100%.
That's not diversifying, in my opinion.
Right.
You can be diversified within the market, but you're still completely in the market.
Right.
And that's coming from the person who makes money on people investing in the market.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I know, right? It doesn't make any sense, but it does. So thanks for coming in, and thanks for showing it or telling everybody how to invest in the market, but not just investing in the market, actual lateral investments in real estate and stuff too. So if you guys are looking for some way to grow your actual little empires, Freddie is the guy to talk to. He'll help you out. And thanks for coming in. And he'll be back again. If you guys have any questions, just inbox us or give him a call, and he can start your new goals for 2023. But thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.